Right. So I think we can go on to our class today, where we'll go into a new topic called problem formulation. And this is a very, very important topic, and it is a follow-up to last week's topic. Okay, there'll be three parts to it. We'll see whether how fast we can go, whether we can cover all the three or maybe one. But normally we target at least two, two parts. Okay, there are many, many slides here. Okay, the first thing is to remember that research is to generate new knowledge. This is what we have been talking about last week and since a few weeks ago, right? Research means generate new knowledge. If you do not generate new knowledge, you're not doing research. And it is systematic and orderly and based on scientific method. And the purpose finally is to come with new knowledge, which must be reliable and valid. So this is something that we have been talking about, yeah? It must be reliable, must be valid. That's why all the evidence must be valid. And then we talk about scientific method. You remember John's work on grandma's bread. Okay, so we followed this in scientific method. So research is based on scientific method. And we look at the systematic research process. Research being systematic. It must start with problem formulation, and then finally methodology, and you methodology development, your data collection, analysis, interpretation, finally dissemination, conclusion, or communication. So always research must start with problem formulation. And problem formulation here, as we have been mentioning many times, when the word problem here is not the human being mundane problem, but it is the research problem, which means that what is the problem? Okay, what is the problem in your research? The problem in your research is the research gap, the unknown, the thing that is not has not been found by the others. So let me share the typical chapters in the research proposal. When you are developing your research proposal, I strongly suggest you use chapters, not section. Okay, so that means that you must start chapter 1, and then other chapter 1 you have section background, literature review, and problem statement, and so on. And then chapter 2, and then chapter 3, right? So in chapter 1, it is a chapter that should include the following section, which define the problem. So this chapter 1 is problem definition chapter. So you define it here. What is your problem? So how the outline should be, there's a background. Background is the mundane problem. We talk about global warming, we talk about flooding, we talk about food scarcity, we talk about water scarcity, we talk about traffic jams, we talk about what health. So that's the background. But number 2, you have to look at what are research being done in that mundane problem. And it should go from very broad to very specific or narrow subject. And later we'll see how it is done. So this whole lecture is about how to do that. Number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5, number 6, number 7. Yeah, this is what we call a problem formulation. So the first part is about number 2 and number 3. Okay, which we are going to look after this. So these are typical chapter. Chapter 1 will be like this. Chapter 2, chapter 2 is called literature review, where you look at past literature, what other people have studied on your topic, their theoretical framework, their methods, and relevant results. So the difference between chapter 2, literature review, and chapter 1, literature review, is chapter 1 here in section 1.2, chapter 1, section 1.2, which is number 2 here. This is brief literature review looking at research gaps only. In chapter 2, Research review, we look at their methods, their theoretical framework, their results, and so on. So here we look at in chapter 2 is something very deep and broad. Okay, in chapter 1, we look at very specific, deep, but very narrow. We look at just specific thing that you are going to do in your research. And chapter 3 is methodology, show how you want to achieve the actual objective research, including a flow chart, compulsory, yeah, a flow chart, an explanation of each block phase of the activities, how are you going to collect and analyze the data, including tools, equipment, techniques, equations, and so on. That should be in chapter 3. And finally, for research proposal for your uh, mini viva, when you do your defense, you should have some kind of preliminary results. Okay, so you have spent already 2 semesters or 3 semesters. There must be something that you have done other than chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay, you have not only shown that this is what you want to do, which is chapter 1, what other people have done, I'm learning from them, chapter 2. And chapter 3 is how am I going to achieve what I want to do in chapter 1. So that's basically your proposal. But chapter 4 is what I've got so far. Right? So chapter 4 is what I've got so far. So that's basically the 4 chapters. And chapter 4 is very brief, maybe just a few pages. It's okay. But the rest should be more pages, yeah, more. Right. So this is uh, an overview of your proposal, yeah. So please use chapters, not use sections, because otherwise people write like a report, so they have section 1 introduction, section 2 literature review, section 3, and so on. So no, that's not good. So it's better to use that, because this your proposal will become the seed for your thesis. So once you got your chapter 1 right, you don't have to change much in your chapter 1 throughout. Yeah, throughout you need to change, but not much. Chapter 2 also not much. Already you just add on literature as you come along. And chapter 3 also you do not change much because it's a methodology, but you're going to change in terms of tense, particularly mainly. Okay, because in methodology for proposal, we write how you want to do it. But in your thesis, how you did it. Okay, so the tense, past tense to future tense to past tense. And but the main bulk of your thesis will be in chapter 4 and chapter 5 and 6 if you have. So that means that if you have your proposal done already according to chapters, then you are already basically what 60-70% clear with chapter 1 to 3. Okay, so you just add on chapter 4 and 5 for your final thesis.
Sorry, doctor.
Yep, go ahead.
Share.
If you have anything to ask while I was talking, just go ahead. Just you can interject, no problem.
Thank you. For chapter 4, about the preliminary result. So do you mean that after we have got the ideas of what to do, we can start to do some experiment or brief experiment to build our chapter 4?
No. What we mean is your results. So your results could be results of what you expect to do. Because if you show your methodology,
Yeah.
there are maybe 10 steps. You must have done step number 1, number 2. What are the results from step 1 and step 2? Okay, so for example, your step 1 is to choose the uh, proposed candidate for design that you're going to use in your in your work. So you want to show that already the drawings or the figure for that or photos of that. Okay, so maybe you have to do some data collection. You have collected some data, right? So show those preliminary data that you have got to show that, yeah, I've already started my work. It's not that I'm presenting here and then finally I've completed my proposal and I just keep quiet. I wait until you approve my proposal, then only I work. No, you're supposed to show your methodology, your proposal, but In chapter 4, you show whatever that you have got so far. That's all.
Okay, thank you. The other question is about hypothesis. Where do we put in the hypothesis for our research?
Hypothesis, I'll touch later. It's normally in chapter 1, if there is hypothesis, but not all research will require hypothesis.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, Prof. For the brief literature review in chapter 1,
Yeah.
if we would like to add that point, so what will be the general title, for example, for that? Like say, chapter 1.1 is background. So then 1.2, are we going to say a brief literature review?
You can write,
It doesn't.
you can you can write that as part of the problem formulation.
Yeah,
So
because also.
in your problem formulation part, you can put section 2 as problem formulation.
Okay.
So that problem formulation includes the brief literature review and problem statement. At the end of it, you have a statement, problem statement.
Okay.
Hello, Prof. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Prof, please, can I understand the difference between problem statement and purpose statement, because it's confusing me.
Problem statement is the research gap. What's missing? Purpose statement is the purpose of your work. Basically, is to cover the research gap. Just rewrite. It's a rewriting of the problem statement.
Slide objectives.
We are going to go into detail each one of these later.
Okay.
So don't worry.
Okay.
This is only an overview to show that you to put inside your framework. This is what we are going to cover. Inside this whole slides will cover up to significance.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you.
But before going there, we have a long way. We have many slides here. I think nearly 100 slides. That's why I said we cannot finish today. Right. So again, we keep harping and mentioning and repeating this. Research is to generate new knowledge. To generate new knowledge, researcher need to know that the knowledge he or she is generating is new. All right. And research is to solve a research problem. Therefore, research problem is the gap in knowledge. Same thing. You talk about research problem, you talk about gap in knowledge, it's the same thing. It's the unknown, it's the missing knowledge. So that's why when you talk research problem, we don't talk about the mundane problem. It's not the mundane problem that's your research problem. Your research problem is the missing knowledge. That's your problem that you're going to solve. So research problem is the gap in knowledge, what people do not know about this matter or this issue at this point in time. So that is your research. So that's why I keep saying to students, if you do not know your research problem, you have a big problem. Because you don't know your research gap, right? You know that it is something to do with global warming or something about flooding and something about traffic jam, something about COVID. Right? So that's a mundane problem faced by human being. But what is your research problem? Your research problem is your gap in knowledge. What is it that you want to study? Okay, what exactly you are looking at? So that is your research problem. That's why you know that it is something to do with COVID, but what is your research problem? Because everybody will say, I'm doing COVID, I'm doing COVID, I'm doing COVID. Many people will be looking at COVID. But so what is your specific research problem? So we talk about each person will have a specific research problem. So that's why you cannot say your research problem is global warming or corrosion, okay, or plastic pollution. Those are not your research problem. Those are mundane human being problem. But your problem exactly is what is the gap in knowledge that you're looking at. So that's why problem formulation is the identification of the problem, knowledge gap, or the unknown. So this is the part 1 that we are going to do here. And then later, you need to write the problem statement, purpose statement, objective, scope, significance. So all this will be covered in this module. Okay. Again, I keep coming to here, the mummy. So research problem can be obtained by asking a serious question which could not be answered by the present human knowledge. So at the moment, people do not know. That is, if people do not know that, then that is your research problem. Like this one, they are digging this mummy, for example. So people will be asking, when was this mummy buried? How old was she when she died? Why does the mummy has a broken leg? What was the typical diet of Egyptians during that period? Where did they get the wood for the coffin? Where was there forest in the area of the burial site 4,000 years ago, or was it already a desert? So you see, all these questions are the unknown. People do not know. So because of that, are these people doing research? Yes, they are doing research. They are looking for knowledge that is not available at the moment. So you go, nobody can answer this question unless you do research. So they're going to study a lot about this mummy and so on. The question is it going to solve any present-day mundane problem of human being? Not sure. No, maybe not. Yeah, but still, are they doing research? Yes. Do they have a research problem? Yes. So they have a research problem, but not necessarily solving a human being mundane problem. Okay, except maybe the last point, was there forest in the area of burial site 4,000 years ago, or was it already erased? For example, they're studying about the coffin. They say, oh, this wood is local here. Maybe 4,000 years ago, there was actually big forests. So this area of the pyramids are actually forested area. Now it has turned into a desert. Why did it turn into desert? That's something that we can learn. Because now we have this problem of desertification, yeah, of many areas of Africa as well. The forests are turning into deserts. So that's something that we can learn. Okay, that's the last point. But even if without the last point, still they are doing proper research because they are uncovering new knowledge for human being out of curiosity. Yeah, just wanting to know. That's it. They study this and they publish this. They can write thesis about this. They can get their PhDs or masters. Yeah, just by uncovering the knowledge. Okay. Now, so like for example, John. Remember John with his grandma's bread? What is his research problem? Anybody wants to suggest what is John's research problem? Bharatan?
Actually, his research problem was on how many grams of sugar he could get the biggest size of bread.
Yeah, okay. Right. So the unknown is actually the effect and the actual amount of sugar. That's the thing that people do not know. Okay, the knowledge at the moment people don't know. People know the grandma used 50, but maybe that's not the best one. That's what come to his mind, you know. That is the problem that is research problem. Okay, so how would he solve the problem? So I mean, how would he identify the problem? He can identify problem by using this kind of. I use either. This is only a technique. It's not say acceptable by everyone. It's just my own. This is how I think. Maybe you think differently. It's okay, but my suggestion of how we can understand the derivation of research problem is by having this inverted pyramid, or what do you call it, filter, or whatever it is you want to call it. I call it inverted pyramid somehow, but you can call it a filter or can give it a triangle. Doesn't matter. So what we have here is um, we we look at the broad questions and we go to the lower question until we cannot find the answer to it. For example, in this case, the issue is we need a bigger bread loaf size. because bigger bread is better, but how to get bigger bread? So that's the question. How to get bigger bread size, the volume. So if what John did, this is hypothetical, fictional, okay, is that he studied about, he looked at the literature, assuming there's a literature, on ways of getting bigger bread size, right? So, okay, so he found that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 papers he found. David studied about temperature, Musa studied about flour, yeast was studied by Josh and Hadi, and then sugar, Wong and Lim and Ali studied about sugar. So all this, you see, that big issue, the mundane issue, which is we want to get bread bigger, but various ways people have studied. Okay, so some say what are the factors affecting? So some say temperature, some say flour, some say yeast, some say sugar. So various people have tested, using different uh, we call it, okay, a variable here, right? The independent variable, okay? They have changed the temperature. They look at different temperature of the oven, for example, David, and he found that, okay, there's an effect and so on. So, but what was the best option? Best option maybe the thing that really can get a big impact is sugar, okay? As shown by Wong and Lim and Ali. Okay, so John will say, in that case, I'm going to look at sugar. Now, what has been studied about sugar? So there are 2 studies about sugar, Wong and Lim and Ali. So Wong and Ali, Wong studied between white sugar and brown sugar. And Lim and Ali compared fine and coarse sugar. And their result shows that white sugar and fine sugar will be best. Yeah, so, all right. But from the studies, nobody has studied about the effect of different amount of fine white sugar. So you see how John found his gap. He looked at the literature before this. They have looked at that, and but no, no one has tested the effect of different amount of fine white sugar. Because of that, he found that the knowledge gap is a lot of research has been done in the field. However, no research has been carried out to study the effect of different amount of fine white sugar to improve the size of grandma's bread. Okay, although it is hypothetical and it is only a boy's experiment, this is just to show you how we can get similar things, knowledge gap, identification, by doing similar way of looking at previous literature and finally identify. Okay. So that's what has been done, and from there he identified. So this is the problem statement. His problem is this one, yeah. Okay, now we see something which is more scientific to us: corrosion mitigation of wind turbine blade using nanomaterials. So this was the conclusion of the literature, the brief literature review to define the problem. Despite the availability of a lot of literature on corrosion mitigation of wind turbine blades, no research has been done to study how nanomaterials coating work and if it is suitable for controlling corrosion of wind turbine blades. Yeah, so we see how he got to that. He asked a lot of questions, from broad mundane issues to narrow and specific issues. Okay, so this is the inverted triangle or inverted pyramid or filter. So what are being studied to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? What are the options for renewable energy? What are research in the field of wind energy? How it goes down from here, broad and mundane, each one has got an answer to it. So So the issue is the mundane issue. The big issue is about global warming. This is the background. And for global warming, we need to mitigate global warming. We need to reduce GHG, greenhouse gas. So what are the ways to reduce GHG? So what are being studied to reduce greenhouse gas emission? What are being studied? So we need to look at what are the literature, what are researchers doing to reduce GHG. Many literature group of works being done on renewable energy, on new fuel, improve the engine performance, reduce farming, CO2 sequestration, etc., etc. So there are many people doing work. So that's why we cannot say that your work is to solve global warming. Your research problem is about global warming because many people are doing work to solve global warming problem. So some are working in renewable energy, some working at CO2 sequestration, some working at reduction of farming because farming means animal, uh, so the cows and so on, produce a lot of methane, which increase GHG. Yeah, so many things. But what's you look down now, renewable energy. So now you go down to renewable energy. What are the options? Solar, geothermal, biomass, wind, waves, wind. So what are research being done for renewable energy? So all this field. And then what are the research being done for wind? You see, you chosen wind. Okay. What are being researched in the field of wind energy? These are you find that literature so will talk about structure, some other literature will talk about the turbine, some literature about economic site location, etc., etc. Okay. So which one be your focus? I'm going to focus on turbines. Okay, I'm not going to look at economics, some structure itself, and so on. I'm going to look at the turbine. So what are being done? What are the areas being studied for wind turbine only? So these are the things that people are looking at: noise, blade corrosion, number of blades, types of turbine. So some people will look at number of blades. Some people look type of turbine. Some people look at noise. Some people look at arrays. But my area is blade corrosion. Okay, so from under blade corrosion, what are people studying about the ways of reducing blade corrosion? So people are using sacrificial honor, cathodic protection, painting, coating, etc. Okay, so what type of then? No, I'm not going to look at sacrificial honor. I'm not going to cathodic protection or painting. I'm going to look at coating. So what are the coating being used? So some people are using painting, some people are painting, some people are looking at new materials. And for new material, are the research being done in nano coating? No work on nanomaterial coating. So because of that, okay, can it be used for controlling? So because of that, you come up with that the conclusion that despite availability a lot of research consumer mitigation wind turbine blades, no research being done to study how nanomaterial work, coating work, and it is suitable for controlling corrosion of wind turbine blades. So this is the research questions. Okay, it's okay. Your research problem research question. For now, it's okay to use either research problem research question, but later we are going to be more specific. Okay, later we are going to look at more specific how what is research question and what's research problem. Okay, for now you can mix the two. They are still the same because research question is just another way of writing research problem. So we see how we develop from something very broad into something very narrow. You see some example. Yes, Baradan? We can't hear you. Baradan, you want to ask question?
Oh, sorry, sir. I was unmute. Okay, sir. If let's say regarding the research question, sir, a person has decided that the nanomaterial coating is previously they haven't conducted research on that yet. So the person wanted to conduct research on the nanomaterials. and then on further on his research, there's already been published few papers like that. Means uh, how in that case, sir? So like I say, he unknowingly proceeded with that topic.
Yeah. So that's why your literature review in when you are developing your problem must be very thorough and very recent. I keep saying to my student, it must be yesterday's. So yesterday uh, if you want to go to BDYY, you must check yesterday whether somebody has published something or not. Right. So, of course, along the way, maybe you did not find anything, but along the way, somebody will find. Then, of course, if somebody has done something exactly similar to you, then you need to change. You need to redirect your research to a slightly different area,
So,
and that's subject to your discussion with your supervisors.
so it
And you
must be a new knowledge, like exactly a new
definitely,
knowledge.
yeah, you cannot by the time you attend your viva, your final thesis, you cannot come and say that nobody has done it. Whereas a few weeks ago, 2 months ago, somebody has already published something exactly similar, solving that problem. Solving that problem is solving that research problem, yeah. I mean, filling the gap. So that's
Okay,
important.
sir. Okay, sir, understood. Thank you.
Okay. Right, we go on. So we see some example here of your seniors. Uh, So this is a guy doing something about reducing maritime casualties, I mean accidents, maritime accidents, ships collision and so on. So the big issue is about oil pollution because of ship collusion. So because of that, you need to reduce maritime casualties, maritime accidents. So what are people studying about reducing maritime casualties? Some people are looking at the vessel design, the ship design, the environment, the human factor, and so on. People are very serious about this thing. And then people are looking at what contributes to human factor, which uh, which increase the likelihood of accident, miscommunication, intoxication, fatigue, etc. So he's going to look at fatigue. To solve this fatigue problem, people are looking at various variables here. And we're looking at stress, how to reduce stress, individual fatigue mitigation management. And finally, these are various ways of reducing stress that people have been proposing, but he's looking at new method of meditation. Okay, so this is one example. And then this is about trapezoidal cylinder to increase oscillation magnitude for low ocean current. This is about ocean energy, about ocean current, ocean current. And then they want to develop a device to get the energy using the oscillating cylinder. So, of course, they start with the big one. We need to reduce greenhouse gas effect. Various people are studying about renewable energy and so on. So he's looking at renewable energy. In renewable energy, there's so many things. He's looking at water, river current. In the water, he's looking at ocean current. And from ocean current, there are two ways people are developing turbines and people are developing oscillating cylinders. So a lot of studies here, but it's going to contribute to this part, oscillating cylinder. So in terms of oscillating cylinder, people are looking at various ways of improving the efficiency of oscillating cylinder. And one way is to induce galloping and using the shape of the cylinder. So the question is, not much is known about the optimum shape, dimensions, and location for the Q trapezoid. Okay, some people are suggesting Q trapezoid. So the Q trapezoid is people studied, but there are a lot more things that can be studied about Q trapezoid itself. So that's an example. And then this is about unmanned vehicle. There are various types of unmanned vehicle. It's not looking at fixed wing. hexacopters, and then he's doing quadcopters. And then people are studying various things about quadcopters by looking at the flight software itself and how within the flight software there's so many things. He's going to look only at cooperative corporate control, and then he research in collaborative mapping and sensing is still scarce. So not much research is on the collaborative mapping and sensing. That is his conclusion. His conclusion is by looking at the literature. All this must be based on literature. It cannot be based on feeling. I feel there's not many people have done this. Okay, what he need to do is look at the literature, and really there's not much. So that's why problem statement must be developed by reviewing literature. Brief review of literature. We look at the various development of literature throughout. Then finally, you can conclude about your research problem or research questions. Here is another problem statement based on hypothetical again. The effect of virgin coconut oil on performance of diesel engine. So again, same big mundane problem, but it goes this way. Instead of doing renewable energy, he look at improve engines. How to improve engine? Improve efficiency of current engines. So what are research being done to improve engine? Improve efficiency, develop new engine, use better fuels. Okay. In this case, he's going to look at improving efficiency of current engines by the use of additive, because there are also other ways as well by looking at additives. And then the additives, there are various additives, chemical, water, vegetable oil, etc., etc. He's looking at vegetable oil. And vegetable oil, many people have done. They're looking at jatropha, linseed, soya, palm oil, corn oil. So he's looking at new oil, which is virgin coconut oil. Will it work? So that's basically the question. So review of the literature suggests that no previous research to study the virgin coconut oil to improve efficiency of diesel engines. There's a need to study if this possible. What's the right amount of VCO to be used? Virgin coconut oil VCO. So that is the research problem. And from there, from this, I don't know, analysis or thinking method, this is how it is written in the thesis itself. Okay. Much work has been carried out in improving efficiency of diesel engines. This work has been summarized by Mark and Kawashima. Okay, so that one is this one. How to improve the engine. So this Kawashima and so on, this has summarized this one. Okay, so among the method proposed are the use of additives in fuel. The use of So one of the method being suggested is to use additives. So among the additives is vegetable oil. So of course it goes into vegetable oil. The use of vegetable oil as additive has been presented by Tim and Wang, etc., etc., etc. They have used this, okay, which is this one. So that's the people that's been mentioned just now. Okay, and finally Lim 2017. They have used jatropha and so on. The maximum improvement was quoted by Lim, who used corn oil in a medium speed engine from 10% increased efficiency. So there is corn oil. Corn oil has improved the efficiency. Previous work on improving diesel engine performance has not studied the use of virgin coconut oil. You see, all this oil, there's no virgin coconut oil, which has been shown to have superior quality reported by Hashim. They use VCO to improve the combustion characteristic of steam boiler. Okay, Hashim has used virgin coconut oil and they show that they are good, but they use in the steam boiler, not an internal combustion engine. So they found that combustion characteristics were far superior with reduction in harmful and carbon dioxide emissions. So review the literature suggests that no research has been carried out to study the use of virgin coconut oil to improve efficiency of diesel engine. There is a need to study if this is possible and to determine what's the right amount of VCO to be used. See, so this is a problem statement. The problem statement only one or two sentences at the end of this literature review. At the end of it, you need to have some conclusion here. That conclusion is basically summarizing the storyline here. There's a story here. Story says that story is this one. This whole story is summarized here, which is this part. So I said just now purpose and problem. Purpose is just to say, since there is no one study, so the purpose of my research is to study. Okay, so this is a purpose statement. Clear rephrasing of the problem statement. Okay,